Hello, this is my Omen guide on Lotus. I'm going to be starting off on defense and talk about A first. So on A, when I'm defending, generally you'll want to take this space when you're playing A. I don't always play A on Omen because I can play weak side on Omen as well. In fact, he's very good at playing weak side as he can still influence the strong side from far away, but he can also do things when he's actually on the strong side with your teammates. So on A, when I'm wanting to go aggressive at the start of the round, I'm going to be right up against the barrier with a flash, and what I'll do is I'll run forward and flash, and then I'll TP onto rubble, and sometimes I'll follow up with a smoke. Most of the time I will, and this is how I'll fight with my teammates that will push up with me. You need to make sure you're communicating that you want to do this play and that you want teammates to be with you, because if you don't, you're going to be like 1v5 on rubble, and that's like certain death. You might go 1-for-1, but that's still bad for defense on the Lotus. You don't really want to go 1-for-1. Huge amount as the attackers tend to have an advantage on you from the start. If you want to play a bit more defensively on A, or if you want to influence if you want to influence A from another side of the map and your teammates aren't going aggressive, then you can do this smoke. This is like the general smoke you need in your head when you're playing defense for A, as this is going to be the one that stops them from doing the push into A for a bit. There's also one on door as well. This, which I'll go over a bit in a minute as well. If you want to do one for B, I'll just talk about B real quick. And it's that one for B. And then if you want to do one for C, this is the one for C. These ones, all these smokes are going to be ones that you need in your head when you're playing defense on Omen, as they're going to stop the enemy from pushing into the site. Those smokes, very normal, basic smokes. I'll come back over to A and talk about this smoke. So the reason why I want to talk about this smoke is because if I'm playing tree, what will happen is I'll generally be playing like a judge or something, and when the door opens, not when the door opens, I'll smoke this. When they get close to the door, I'll usually hear them, and they'll open the door, and when they open the door, what you can do is you can TP on top, and then it's really easy to get kills from the top of the door because not many people expect it. You can also tell if they come out the door as well because you're on top of the door. You can see everything there. Don't mind that people are a bit more aware of this play nowadays, so you may not get the value that you maybe be hoping for, but most of the time they are pretty unaware of that possibility. Also, when I'm playing from tree as well, some wallbangs to know. What you want to do is you want to stand sort of directly in line with this. It doesn't really matter how far back or how far forward. If you're directly in line with this brick, like where these two bricks line up this line, then you can always wallbang the orb from this position. You go about here, basically all across this brick is like wallbangable for the orb, as you can see. So you want to be kind of like, yeah, it doesn't really matter like where you aim with the orb, or where you aim on this brick, but this brick is kind of just where you want to aim when they take the orb. If you want to spray the door instead, what you can do is you go up to this like line here, with this box, and once again, it's the same thing. You just go, it's like with this line and to the left slightly, and that's how you spray this door. As you can see, it's a bit broken. As I've hit through the wall. Let me show a bit more convincing, a bit more concisely. There you go. And that's how you can like spray the door. From there, if you think people have broken the door and running through, you can support teammates. If you have a teammate in B that's like fighting the people coming out the door, you can influence the fight from tree that way. And you can also blind for them as well. Your paranoia is really strong when they make that play, because as you can see, like it hits whatever this person's going to be fighting, it will hit them. So it's pretty good. And that's going to be it for A. I'm going to move on to B. So generally I won't play B that much. I might be in B at the start of the round, but generally when I'm in B at the start of the round, I'm going to be playing over here, and I'm going to be breaking the door instantly and supporting my team on A, most likely when I'm playing B. Not always. Sometimes I'll be trying to make a play in mid. If I'm like in like a bonus, for instance, and the enemy team are buying, then I might try and make a play with smokes. Like I might make like really aggressive plays like this. I'll take like the front, or I'll take this, and then I'll just try and like contest this space. I won't take the orb. My orb is not really that important for Omen. Maybe I can help someone else get the orb, and I'll use this smoke to kind of take this front space. Bear in mind, it's very easy for them to like pop flash through this smoke and take the space back. But you are an eco. Like I said, like I do it on like ecos and bonuses, so I don't really like risk too much by doing it. And most of the time they're going to want to play as 5, so if I do get, like, if a play is made on me here, then I know that they're probably in close proximity. They're probably not really that far out of lobby yet. So I can tell my teammates that. Yeah, so he's get info on the eco or something. Let's go over to C, because I don't really have that many players for B. I will talk about post-plant as well after I've gone over like the normal setup. So generally, I've already showed this smoke. That's fine. You can also do a one-way over here as well. If I actually have hands, so yeah. There's a one-way you can do here, which is fine as well. Pretty good. If the smoke is in here, you can see it from like this. Over the smoke. You can see it works from this position, so it's pretty strong. Otherwise, there isn't really that many smokes you can do. You can also paranoia for teammates coming out if you want to. You can do this. If you have a teammate here, maybe they can swing off the paranoia. It's not the strongest of paranoias because it doesn't quite get like some of these angles like this. So, but it is still quite decent, especially if this person isn't planning on doing like a wide swing like this. They can still be hidden from the people that won't be blinded and still probably shoot someone that is blinded. It's very possible that that happens. You can also do TPs across here at the start of the round, and the enemy team probably won't hear them. They have to get quite close, quite fast to hear it. But it obviously is quite risky because because you're in like a dead end. There's nowhere to go, so you are putting yourself in a really dangerous position. You gotta be careful that you're making the play at the right times with the right reads. When it comes down to actually like playing weak side for Omen, a lot of the time I'm gonna be trying to be aggressive from C if I do play C. If I play B, I'm a bit less aggressive. I'll probably rotate early to A if they go A. But if they go like A and I'm C, then I might do like some plays such as taking the orb and then flanking. Because I have as Omen, you have a good way to flank. You can always flank like by smoking this turret off, because there'll be a turret on top of this usually. You can smoke this turret off and you can get through. Sometimes there'll be an alarm bot here. Not here. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Sometimes there'll be an alarm bot around here. What you can do against an alarm bot, not many people know. You do that versus an alarm bot, and as you can see, like it's covered it, like it potentially covers it, and you can jump over. Obviously, they'll hear the jump, so potentially in this area it's not really that effective. But actually, sometimes you can probably like, I reckon if you know exactly, because this is like an example, right? You don't even have to jump over it. What you can do, if it's like off to the side or something, or even in the middle, you can use this. Cover going out. Well, then if it covers it like there, get around it. And not many people are going to see it, and also it fully blocks off like, because if you just did a normal smoke, it'd be a lot harder for you to, first of all, you can get around it still like this, I guess, but it's also more noticeable from the enemy team as well if you do it like this. If you do it in the ground, it's a lot less noticeable when you're flanking. Let's talk a bit of retake. So if I'm retaking A from B or C, first of all, I'll just talk about if I'm flanking. So that's like how it would retake from C sometimes, or even most of the time sometimes, and some rounds or some games. But if I'm coming from like CT, then I'm going to be prioritizing these types of smokes, so this type of smoke or this smoke. Depends on how they play and where it's planted, really. If it's like a 1v1 or something, then I might even prioritize smoking on top of the bomb instead. As it might give me, because it gives me the ability to fake and walk out the smoke, or just stick or something, like play those mind games, and doesn't give them the smoke to play the mind games with, if that makes sense. And that can really help with winning clutches. You can also TP like onto sites. There are also plenty of places where you can put down a smoke and TP into them. There's probably not the best position, but it really does create like problems for the enemy team. But they can also push into this smoke, and it can be a problem for you. So probably not this smoke. You probably want to do like other ones. That there is also TP onto this box, and there's tons of TPs you can do. It just depends on situation, really. It's more about adapting to what the post plant looks like. If you want to retake B from A or C, I'll generally come from heaven if I'm A. From C, I'll come from C link. And once again, the smokes I'll be prioritizing are going to be one on main, maybe one on A link, depending on if they're playing A link, which sometimes a lot of the time they are, to be fair. And sometimes I'll also once again prioritize smoking the bomb in 1v1s or 1v2s or something, as I can play with my own smoke and make the mind game and like control the mind games. If I'm coming from A or from like heaven, I'll do a smoke like this sometimes. And what this smoke does, it allows me to either walk out to the side like this and get a kill on someone not really expecting me to be out, or I can go into the smoke and I can swing the right side Or I can just stay in the smoke and shoot someone that's maybe down here if they're on top of the bomb, if the bomb's planted there or something. So these types of smoke give you a lot of options. You can basically smoke anywhere on here, but generally you want it to be like somewhere in the middle kind of area like this, because it gives you the ability to peek out both smoke, like both sides of the smoke like this, right? That's kind of what you want, because it gives you like 3 lanes where they have to think about. They have to think about in the smoke, the left side of the smoke, and the right side of the smoke. So it makes it really hard for them to like hold this smoke, because they're basically in like a 33% chance that you're going to be in the position that they are aiming at. So yeah, there's then we go on to retaking C from B or A. Generally, I might end up flanking from A if they go C or B, which I forgot to mention in B. Sometimes I'll decide to flank, but this doesn't look that much different from hacking from like flanking A from C. Generally, I'm just going to be prioritizing like a smoke like this maybe, because it allows me to kind of get out of A main and have like multiple areas where I can come out of the smoke. And obviously it depends on like situation. If it's like a 1v1, I might not want to give away my position, and I might want to do an alternative smoke like this. That can kind of, maybe they'll think that I'm heaven, and then instead I can walk out, be main, and potentially get a kill on someone suspecting me to be heaven. That kind of stuff is quite useful. You might notice I haven't talked about my ult yet. I'll talk about my ult at the end, because the ult is generic really. Doesn't really, it's not really very specific on some parts really. I'll go over on attack actually a lot more. So on C, retaking from A or B, I'm going to come from A link, or sorry, waterfall or CT. If I come from waterfall, I might end up doing like smokes like this for the bomb and for me. I can TP on top as well. I can scale really fast, so anyone like on site, I can fight them quite fast with my teammates coming at CT. That's like a pretty normal smoke that I see a lot of people do, and it's pretty good because it gives you the smoke and doesn't give them the smoke. That would happen if you gave it down here. If you put it down here, you would kind of give them the control of the smoke, which you don't want to do. You want to have control of the smoke. You want it this one. You want this one, and it's kind of the same as CT as well. But what I would do, I would probably do it a bit like further down if I really want to TP in the smoke. Generally that won't happen though. That'd be like ecos or something. Then I'll do that type of smoke and TP. Otherwise, I'm going to be trying to fight with like, I'll do like paranoias if I have paranoia like down this line, or I'll do paranoias down this line instead. One of the two. And then you can use like TP to get an elevation as well. That's also very possible to do. To get like some kills on people on like water if they're like, so sometimes they'll be like in these type of positions. And this TP on this box will help you. Bear in mind you're gonna have a smoke here, right? So these people won't be able to see you TP on the box at all. I'm lagging a bit for some reason. FPS. But yeah, they won't be able to see you get on top of the box unless they're like right exactly there, right? Or I guess they're there as well. Wow, I'm actually lagging quite a bit. That's weird. Okay, that's it for defense. I'll go on to attack. Okay, so on attack, I'm going to start off with A. There are a couple of smokes you can do on A. The first one that you'll see a lot is the one on the stairs. This just allows you to take a lot of space on A main. It does leave this open, so teammates could, or you, can try and get picks through here. But bear in mind they can also peek you, so be careful with like operating things. Against an operator, it might be safer to do this smoke, just so no one can peek you. And you can take this front part of A main without being contested too much. The other smoke you can do as well, I would do for lurkers or for myself. I wouldn't do it if my team is going A. And that's because we get like basically quite a small amount of space that we can usually take a lot more than this with 5 players, or with more players than 1 or 2. And you can sit on this side of the smoke and get some kills on people trying to like walk up aggressively, or you can like just take rubble. Or your teammate can just take rubble. Your lurker can just take rubble and kind of hold it and take some space, or like hold some space here. They can even potentially scale up to here, and have a lot of nice space for a lurker and wait for their timing. Actually, sorry, I'm about to go back. I'm about to go away from A, but I haven't even shown that much on A. So this smoke is also good if you want to go B main, or sorry, B link, A link into B, because yeah, just stops them from sort of contesting this space. So then you have the option to break this and go through to B. Bear in mind that they can pop flash through, and Skies will like to play in this area, so we want to be careful that this is not like fully safe. They can pop flash through. There's also, if I actually want to go on to A, then I'll probably do a smoke like this. So you don't need to get it like on the widest part of the smoke. You just want to make sure like it's kind of just about touching the corners, like some of the like this basically. The reason why you want it like this is because it doesn't quite, not quite allowing them to shoot through, and it stops them from making a play down the rope where they can jump off the rope and make a play like that. It is a really hard play to make. And it's obviously just makes sound when they come out and they can't shoot. They have some downtime jumping off the rope. But it does stop, like, if you're like fully bleeding the smoke off the edge, then it can really, like, it doesn't show them for a while. To be fair, it doesn't make that much difference, actually. I don't think it makes that much difference thinking about it. But yeah, just basically you want to make sure it covers everything. That's pretty much it. You want to make sure you cover from here to here with the smoke. That's it. When it comes to actually like playing into A, you can go through a tree as well. Generally, when I play Omen, I do like going tree. But if I don't go tree, then I'll be blinding for them like this, or I'll be blinding across side like this for my other people in main. I also like to do TPs like this. In one of my recent games, I TP'd here and planted for my team, and then I actually ulted out and into a flank position. That's like a really good play you can make, especially with your ult as well, which I haven't talked about yet, but I'll talk a bit more about it on attack, because I think it's a bit more relevant on attack to have your ult. Most of the time on defense, you're ulting for like fast rotations or like flanks, which is normal on every map, right? But I have more set. To be fair, I just have more set plays on attack than with my ult than I do on defense, which is quite weird because on defense it's more the set play type of half or type of side. So that's kind of it for A. If I go through tree, so let me just throw tree, then I'll like open the door and I'll blind just before I can see anything in tree. We'll spam this probably, and then we'll probably be out. If we go in heavy tree and I have my smoke back up, then I'll do this. This is also a resmoke I do as well. So if instead of resmoking this, I'll actually resmoke this. So a lot of the time players will come from drop. Unless obviously I've got country information, if they're all like flanking, well, for instance, then I probably wouldn't do that smoke. I'll do a smoke like this. That's very specific. If they're coming heavy stairs and going through main, then I'll do one like this instead. And if I think they're going like quite a lot of heaven, then I'll probably, to be fair, if they're going heavy heaven, I probably will still do this because it's not very far away, and I think that maybe one or two of them are going to come to drop. And they're more free kills on drop with the smoke than they are on heaven. Although this heaven smoke is also awkward. So for the enemy team trying to get out onto site, this smoke can be quite awkward. So maybe I should actually think about resmoking heaven a lot more and test that out and see how that goes. Because you know, when I think about it, it's actually maybe pretty good. Let's go over to B. So I'm attacking B. There's not a huge amount you can do by yourself. Like, for instance, like we only have 2 smokes and there's 3 entry points. So the entry points you want to focus on are these 2. Because if you on this one is limited, right? And it's also got a breakable wall here. So you'll actually know if someone's rotated from A and broke this wall, if you need to worry about this area. And generally, like, you don't need to smoke it until they've. This is also a bad smoke, by the way. I'm gonna do it. Like this. You'll know if they're here from the breakable wall. Obviously, if they started here on B, you won't. So you just need to be aware of it for a bit of time. Like as you go in, and you can also do blinds for C link, and you can do blinds for heaven. I wouldn't do these personally. I would wait till the retake before you do them. So if you know, just play off where your teammates are, what information you have. Like if you know they've got a lot of C link, then you probably want to do a flash like this, and when they start to come out, you can flash them. And obviously when they start to come out C link, they have nowhere to run from main. There's blind, and they don't know where to go. There's been nowhere to like be safe unless they run back. Which will like either delay them or you'll get a kill. Most likely you'll get a kill, at least your team will, from that blind. And that's kind of it for B. There's not really a huge amount to say otherwise. Yeah, obviously TPs onto site if you want to, onto heaven, things like that. Very, very risky, but doable if you're on like an eco, if you have a judge or something, you have these 2 places smoked, and you have a judge, you can just TP from main onto heaven, and try and play like one of these positions here. That's also a possibility, things like that. Very much a possibility. It just depends on like your range, like what you have, and what the enemy has as well. Because you don't be doing that play when you have a Vandal and the enemy team's eco. You don't want to be making a play on site like that. If we're gonna go C, You can go through B and rotate and things. A lot of Lotus is about rotations. It's a three bomb site map, so rotations are really nice, and denying information is really nice. I'll talk about denying information a bit as well on C. So denying information on B is possible. The reason why I didn't talk about it though is because generally you don't want to be giving them this space for the free orb, especially as like a default every round. You don't want to be doing this smoke that much. Because you want to be contesting this area at the start potentially if you know they push it. But C is a bit different. If you come from C, if you go to C, sometimes you can do this smoke, and it looks like a defense side smoke, which it kind of is. You know, the defense will do the same smoke, and you can use this to deny vision, but in very particular rounds, because a lot of the time they will still push out, and the smoke won't land fast enough. So you might have an enemy player in this position, and obviously they can tell if you're pushing this area or not. This smoke is kind of irrelevant. So you want to make sure you're picking the right rounds to do this, and picking rounds where you think that they won't push C. And it doesn't even have to be correct necessarily. I mean, it would be good if it's correct, right? But you want to make sure like you're trying to read into if they're going to make it play C early on, and if I can deny info from there, that's good. You don't even have to go C with it. You can do it if you're going A. You can do this smoke, and then just say to your team like, wait until I've got smoke up for the A execute or whatever. Communication is quite important with controller, and being able to shot call is quite important with controller. So you want to make sure you're prioritizing some of those skills. When it comes to actually like going C, so I'll talk about that denial of info first. But when it comes to going C, you can do a TP across here, and what this TP does is you can fight people that are holding these type of positions. That they won't be aiming at you; they'll have to correct you. So you most likely will have an advantage if you pre-aim this correctly. And also if the enemy team are doing like more of this position, so the enemy player is doing more of this, they're fighting teammates coming out here. As you can see, they're completely obscured from this position, so you can walk up on them. And you know, they'll still be fighting your teammate, and then you got a free kill. They won't be looking at you, and it's hard for them to correct you and actually oh my god, I'm not warmed up. Actually kill you before you kill them. And then when we actually go on to A, you're going to be doing these smokes, which are normal and fine. You can blind the back side if you want to do going out, or sorry, that's more like bend actually, not really back side. This is back side. You can do this. That's how that bomb will go. You can also do plays onto enemies like this as well. So if you have like someone like a raise that can blast satchel around the corners, and then or like even a jet that is willing to like run out here and dash, then you can blind and make a play on people. And there's also a raise satchel there, so on Twitter, that you can like do here, where you can satchel and rocket this. You can combine that with a paranoia to make it really hard for them to realize what's going on. And then when it comes to paranoia as well, sorry, not paranoia. When it comes to your ult, with your ult, what you can do, first of all, I'm going to show this in every video. You can always pick up the bomb with your ult. So you know, don't be afraid to do that. If say the bomb is dropped by your teammates on A, and you're in like a 1v2, don't be afraid to run to a site and then ult it from across the map, pick it up and plant, and then you're in 1v2 post. That is a very good play, or not a very good play, but it's a way that you can salvage rounds on Omen without having to just fight for where the spike is positioned. Another thing you can do with your ult as well when you're on attack is you can make these type of plays where you can go into CT like this, because we have to bear in mind, right, this play works a lot less on A, because A is going to have a lot more players around it, right? They're going to have 3 or 4 players potentially with a B rotation. So they're going to have a lot of players in this proximity. So it's really hard to get a good ult to flank. On C, generally there's going to be 1 player, maximum 2. And that second player probably won't be able to punish. They'll be in waterfall, so they'll be quite a ways away from punishing you outside the ult. They may obviously know you're here, but this adds to the pressure you're going to bring to them, because they will feel like they're not safe on site. And then while they're getting pushed on site, they've got a flank that they have to worry about in CT. It's going to be really hard for them to like play out the round, because they're going to be stuck between 2 different players in completely polar opposite positions. And they're going to be stuck on site basically with a flank behind them with this ult. This ult is a pretty popular one as well. I think a lot of people know it. You can also combine it with a pre-smokes like this. Or even one just like simple as this. And these pre-smokes will stop players from just swinging you after your TP. Unless they're like super close to you, obviously. Then they might have the timing on you. But they won't just like swing into you. And then therefore it buys you time as well, because it means that you can like fight more people on site while this one way is up. because then people will be scared of fighting this one way. So that's stuff you can do to sort of make this TP a bit stronger. I think that's it for the guide. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next one. If there's any improvements or like anything, if there's anything that I missed and that you would like to know about, then feel free to comment. I'm always not really always available, but I will try my best to respond to comments for questions and things like that about the guide. So yeah, I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.